Hey folks, I'm Shibit, and this week I hope that you like mermaids because I have a custom order mermaid book to show you. So I don't think there's anything very much to tell you extra about it, so I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can show you a close-up. So on the cover you'll see lots of sewing and embroidery. Can you hear that weird bird? Not included with the book. So I've used a lot of these eyelash trims, just trying to focus properly, which I thought reminded me of the little beards that you get on the mussel shells and the mollusks, and it's all kind of seaweedy and wavy and like mermaid hair. So there's a few little sparkles sewn in. This represents a diamond, and I'm going to come back to the reason for that soon. There's some mermaid scales and a seahorse there. The cover fabric is a really lovely linen, I was pleased to find. And if you see here along the edges, can you see along the top that it's green? And along the side here, this lovely purpley lilac-y blue. So that's the warp and the weft threads. And that's the way that the fabric is woven, crisscrossed. And it gives a lovely shadow effect because of the two colours. Very kind of marine look to it, I really like it. So that's that. On the spine I've done 2 layers of fabric with these stamped fishes, and lots of silver I've included in the sewing. Sorry, and it reminds me of little silver fishes in the water, just glinting. I'm going to show you the charms now as well, I think. There's a lot of charms. There's some in the book, there's some here, lots of jewels and pearls and shells. The reason that these are actually all at the bottom for now is because I wanted to show you the pages properly without the charms obscuring. So you could later move the charms if you wanted, of course, but I wanted to give you the full effect of the paper, because this book is all about the paper, really. There's no tea dyeing at all. Excuse me. Okay, yeah, so the papers, no tea dyeing, they're all inked, these lovely blues and turquoises, aqua colours. And what I've done, have used torn edges before to mimic leaves, but this time I've torn them in, you can see wave shapes. So I think that the effect has come out really nice. You get these lovely layers of ocean, and you can see, if I can manage a close-up, a lot of them have silver gilding wax along the edges. I don't think that's working very well. You can see here along the edges, which looks really pretty. It kind of reminds me of those, you know, when you go to the theatre and if it's an ocean scene, the sets that they make, they have like these kind of staggered layers of ocean waves, and then the boat is going through at the back. I almost made you a boat, I must admit. But in the end I thought, no, it's just too gimmicky. So I restrained myself. We're having a sophisticated mermaid book today. And the idea was that rather than a book about mermaids, it's more if a mermaid was to have a book, perhaps this is something like what it would look like. I've made a resin charm with and the samples that I've chosen to make the prints, and for this I haven't used seaweed, but I've just chosen plants that I thought looked like seaweed. So that's that. And many different techniques used on the papers. Nice vintage fishy. And I've backed a lot of them with coloured inked papers too. And lots and lots and lots of stitching. I've managed to source quite a few lovely mermaid images as well that I haven't used before. A lot of these wood carvings. I've done some eco dye with seaweed shapes. There's another sample here with some more mermaid scales. That's your letter from the bookmaker. The pockets too I've backed with wavy paper, wavy edged paper. It's one of those transparent inked envelopes. Tracing paper. I thought that half an oak leaf here gave quite a good seaweed shape too on that fabric. Sorry, I was just pausing until those dogs stopped barking. I think it's one of those days today. They're not stopping, but they have calmed down a bit. It's just one of those days. My brain's not working. The camera doesn't seem to be cooperating. I've tried a few takes of this video today. Some of the leftover scraps and extra pieces I've used for pockets and just layered again, so that's 3 different pieces of paper and stitched over the top. And some nice tags. He wishes for the cloths of heaven. This poem seemed to go very well, the sentiments, with what a mermaid might be thinking. So many of the mermaid stories seem to be about love, don't they? About falling in love with a man, or you know, a man falling in love with a mermaid. This piece of sheer organdy I've inked and stamped and stitched, and you can see here, if you use the creases of the fabric while you're inking and iron it later, then you get these lovely waves and ripples that go with the you know, the theme. There's a word here that I've added that was a special request. There are 4 throughout the book, and the lady who ordered the book, she has a kind of it's almost like a life motto, if you can call it that. So she uses these 4 words to just kind of part of a journey type thing. More seaweedy codice, and she just requested that I could put these 4 words in the book for her. And 4 words beginning with C it is. Excuse me, my voice is going now. Okay, I think I'm all right now. So more scraps built up into this little journaling area. You can see the silver on the edges. And so she requested that I put the symbol 4C somewhere in the book. And quite by coincidence, the 4Cs has another meaning. And I know this because I think I've mentioned before that my father used to be a jeweller. And the 4Cs is the way that they grade diamonds, evaluate them and grade them. And so it represents clarity, carat, colour and cut. And so I thought that was quite cool to have that in the book instead of the actual letters 4C. So that's why we have this diamond. So when you look at the diamond, you can be reminded of that. Okay, so it doesn't even want to focus on my hand anymore. Okay, so it says the sea has music for those who listen, which is an adaptation of the Shakespeare quote, the earth has music. This painting, sorry, I told you my brain wasn't working. I really like this painting of a mermaid. She's trying to get away from this sea monster, which is apparently a prawn, which I thought was a little bit odd. I don't know what story it's taken from. So apparently, I don't know, mermaids are afraid of prawns. Or perhaps just that mermaid is. Nobody said that they were rational beings. So some nice water-stained alphabet cards for you there. Some more nice vintage cards. You often see these in the old paintings, the mermaids combing their hair with these seashells. So I thought that was cool to include. The reason that I'm fumbling about so much is because of the way that the camera is set up. The camera is actually right in front of my face, so I can't exactly see my hands. So if you're thinking I'm behaving strangely, that's why. This is just a little technique where I've used some layers of paper, which we do when we're tea dyeing often. But if you cut out wave shapes, you can get some really nice effects when you either tea dye or you're inking. These are some pages of seagrass. Yeah, so what am I saying? I keep skipping about, don't I? There's a pocket. Oh, gone, forgotten. Some more transfers here, more nice splashy effects. So there's another of the words. and some seaweed stamps, and a quote from The Tempest, "We are such stuff as dreams are made on," and that really seemed like a mermaidy thing to be thinking about, that kind of whimsical feel. It's fabric. You can see it here maybe. I hope that you can see these on the camera. These waves here, a little bit here. So they give quite a good effect. This is like looking at the seabed, the hills of sand. And some seabirds. There's another charm of a key. So there's a couple of bits and pieces that I thought perhaps she's recovered from the seabed herself, from shipwrecks. Tracing paper, inked, just made into a simple envelope with sewing. And some of the scraps here I've used as a kind of a staggered pocket. And some mermaid scales here. This is quite a cool charm. Very iridescent. And this one again, something that she's found that was lost from a ship. A photograph, perhaps she's fallen in love. More transfers. It's the same effect here. So if you were to do the same thing at the top of a page, or turn your page upside down, you can see that this kind of looks, the context affects the meaning, in that now it looks more like the sea and the horizon going up there, and the waves in the ocean. So I think it's quite cool how you can change things around like that. There's some nice effects on this paper too. And when you are inking, I would recommend always to tear your paper first, otherwise you're going to get white edges on your papers, and you'll notice that there is ink along the tears. Oh, had a loose bit come off. Where was I? Yes. So tear first, ink later, and then the ink will go into the tears and it won't look strange. This is Thomas Hood's Sonnet to Ocean. Some more vintage shells. Another layered pocket with stitching. More seaweed. More seaweed. This is a nice one of some women who look like they're collecting wood on the beach and found a washed up mermaid. That doesn't sound right, does it? A washed up mermaid? like a washed up something or another, never mind. You know what I mean, she's been washed up. It's a hand carved stamp. Shorebirds. And this love poem, it talks about love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, which I thought fitted very well with the mermaid idea. You know, about altering her form to find the man that she was in love with. And some seashells on the charm there. Another of the words, some seaweed stamping, and in there is 2 vintage poems about the sea, and I've chosen The Tempest for the library. So 2 big pockets there. More stitching and inking. There's a mermaid rescuing a man here. More torn edge paper pockets and transfers. And there is I've done just wrapped in like that. And this section is just an extra little notebook. Lots of extra papers, and I've just included, just because I had some left over, some extra of the papers so that you could use them in your collages and so forth, because you know they will match, and just the fabric cover with stitching there. So that's that. I hope that you're happy with your mermaid book. And so I have to tell you some news. So I have news about 2 things. One is about custom orders. Now, I have found that I should have thought about this before I started, shouldn't I? I've thought about the concept, but not about how to say it. So I'm phasing out custom orders. And I know that some of you will be disappointed, and I am sorry. But I feel as though I've got to a stage in this particular journey where I have to concentrate a little bit on things that are in my head, and they need to come out. So like the steampunk book that I did recently, I really need to sort of explore a little bit. So I'm not going to stop custom orders completely, but what I am going to do, they won't be custom orders, but they'll be made to order. And so on my website, I'm trying to develop a list of what I'm calling concept journals. And what I'm going to do, I think this is the best way to do it, is just occasionally when I have a spare, fortnight, whatever, to sell a time slot so you can use, if you purchase the time slot, you can then, I'm just going to shut the door. Okay, sorry, I hope you can't hear the dogs anymore. They're not my dogs. So yes, time slot. So hopefully if you're wanting a journal from me, you'll be able to purchase the time slot and then choose which journal you want me to make for you. So journals will be from that list. There will be some scope for personalisation, but not a lot. Not in the sense that choosing theme and asking for different things. I haven't actually decided exactly how to do it, and you can probably tell that I should have prepared this better. So just to let you know, no new custom orders are being taken. I have a few customs left. I have maybe, I'm not sure, half a dozen or so, which will take me to the end of summer probably. And by which time I hope that I will be able to concentrate on some smaller items to stock my website with. And I know that some of you are still waiting very patiently for tag sets and things like that, little smaller things. Thank you for being so patient. Yeah, so I am kind of extra busy right now. So I'm trying to get through the customs one by one. And the other thing that I want to share is slightly happier news. That the next custom order is a woodland journal. And so while I've got the woodland mindset, I thought it would be nice to do you a tutorial on my inked transfers plant images that I do on the papers. And so I think that if the weather is good, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I don't have a good setup for tutorials space-wise, and as you can tell, I'm sure, I'm not very good at explaining things. So things are in my head and they don't translate well with words. I don't do words but well, people. So I'm going to try to do the tutorial tomorrow, and I think I'm going to have to do it in sections. So I'm also going to have to learn how to stick videos together. So we have to see how that goes. So after you've watched this, stay tuned, because no, actually scrap that. I need to post this journal. So after you've watched this journal, go and live your life, basically. And the next one that you see from me is going to be, I hope, papers tutorial, and it's going to be a free tutorial. I'm not charging. And this is as a thank you to everybody, because I've been on YouTube for just about a year now, and for the most part I'm really enjoying it. The technical side has been difficult, but you know, I'm having a great time, and that is entirely down to you guys and your lovely kind support. So thank you for that. And so this tutorial will be by way of a thank you to everyone. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys.